Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We're happy to have you joining us this morning. We're just going to let people join, and as they do, maybe you could put into chat where you're located, just for fun to find out who's the furthest away. I'm in Bend, Oregon. I've got a puppy, a 12-week-old puppy next to me, and I have my fingers crossed that he does not freak out, but I do have treats, so I am prepared. Mr. Benner, Sanford, Michigan, the wasteland? Come on, it's not the wasteland. Or does that mean you're out in the backyard? I don't know. Emilio, New Jersey, the Garden State, indeed. It's good to see you. Oh yes, where the lake used to be. But Chris, you're not sitting out where the lake used to be right now, are you? Because that would be interesting.
No, I am not, but it's visible from my window, so yeah.
Okay, all right. You're technically not in the wasteland.
Not in.
Anybody else got to put their location? It's good to see you, Tom. Calman and everybody. Well, let's just get it rolling. You got people that are still popping on in.
Yes, people popping up.
Yep. Welcome to today's community conversation. My name is Shaun Hurley. I'll be your community host. We're joined by Shaun Bryant and his scarf.
Yep.
That's
Told you, Chris. I said I'd wear it.
Everybody that knows Shaun Bryant knows that he's got to have a scarf. And I think somebody, I think it was maybe Chris Benner, said, you know, are you going to wear your scarf? Of course.
I couldn't let him down. He put it all over LinkedIn today. So.
All right, let's go to the next.
I do appreciate it, Shaun.
No worries.
Next slide, sir.
There we go.
All right. Community conversations provide opportunities for engineers, designers, artists, and makers to meet in a safe, live, and virtual setting, to share expertise, get to know leaders in your field, and grow your community network. The sessions are always supported by the Autodesk community managers to help guide the conversation, feed important insights back from the community to Autodesk, and likewise, of course, and support participants in getting connected to the expertise you need. This is a conversation, so you know, let's keep it that way. We're going to get some links here on some resources. Let's go to the next slide. This is the fun stuff. Well, it's not really the fun stuff. Fun stuff is Shaun Bryant. Not me. Before we begin, some simple ground rules. The lines are muted to kind of reduce background noise. Pretty soon I'll be on mute so the dog doesn't go nuts. We invite you to turn your camera on just so we can kind of see people's faces, kind of like we're all in one room in a way, but we're 2D. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand using the little Zoom function, and we'll unmute you, or you can just post in the chat. We'll get to those as we move along. This session will be recorded. A link to the recording will be emailed to all registrants, and it'll also be on the same page that you joined for this community conversation. The less fun slide is next, made by the lawyers. So just a quick statement that any decisions you make, if you were to run off and purchase any product that we talk about here, that you make it with just the decision based on the state of the product as it is now. If Shaun Bryant happens to say that, you know, I've heard that in the next 6 months, there's going to be unicorns as the icons, do not make your purchasing decisions based on that, or that it's going to blare rock music within AutoCAD. Not, you know, don't make your purchasing decisions based on it. It may actually happen, but you can't make the decisions based on it. I know the lawyer's going to love that one. All right, introductions. Let's go. Mr. Bryant, next one. Again, I'm Shaun Hurley. I'm the engagement manager in the Autodesk community. I am a geeky technologist located in Bend, Oregon, which is about 4 miles southeast, or 4 hours southeast of Portland, Oregon. In the mountains, got a river, got the deer are probably eating my plants and trees again. And I'll hand it over to Mr. Bryant.
Yeah, hi. I'm the director and owner of CAD FM Consultants, which has been running for about 20 years now in the UK. I'm an AutoCAD influencer, as they say. I don't put any AutoCAD on Instagram, though. I don't do that kind of stuff. But I'm based in Shropshire, UK right now, kind of in between houses, but we won't go there, long story. And yeah, I've been working lots and lots with AutoCAD over the years. I know Shaun very well. I know lots of the community managers very well too. We've attended AU and all that kind of stuff. And I'm jumping in to talk about going mobile with AutoCAD during it's a 4-part series of community conversations, basically just an overview, give you an idea of what's out there and available with AutoCAD right now. Okay, all set to go, Shaun? All ready?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, let's get going into this then. So it's all about going mobile with AutoCAD. And this is part 2, as I said, of a 4-part series. And in this particular part, we're going to be looking at how you can work with the AutoCAD Web App. Now, just before we start, this is very loosely based on my AU class from the last virtual AU. So there's also a class called Going Mobile with AutoCAD on the AU website, and I go into it in a lot more detail there. And there's also a YouTube video with a direct link to a demonstration of the web app and everything else. This is a very brief overview because I obviously haven't got a huge amount of time to talk. So obviously I don't want to go too deep into the weeds or anything. So we're going to sort of go through things and talk about obviously what we're going to do with the web app. In part 1 previously, I talked about how you could save your DWGs to the cloud and use your Autodesk ID. So I'm going to kind of review that very, very briefly before we jump into the web app. So basically the whole idea of the AutoCAD web app and the AutoCAD mobile app is it gives you the ability to go mobile with AutoCAD. You can put your DWG files in the cloud and take them with you wherever you go. That's the whole idea. And the web app and the mobile app are available with your AutoCAD subscription. So you can have regular AutoCAD or even just AutoCAD LT, and you get the web app and the mobile app. So when we're saving these drawings to the cloud, what you're doing is signing into your Autodesk subscription first. That's really important. So you're signing in using your Autodesk ID. So in AutoCAD, when you first sort of jump in, you'll see on the Start tab, you can see there, welcome Shaun, and you've got Shaun.Bryant, my email address. And yes, you can use that email address to contact me. I don't mind that one being public at all. And what's happened there is when I first opened up AutoCAD, it's gone, oh, hi, you've signed in and you're in AutoCAD using your subscription. And it's also located in the AutoCAD info bar once you're in AutoCAD, top right of the screen as well. So you can see there, you've got the little blue head and shoulders indicating that I'm signed into my Autodesk account. Now that's the really important bit because you've got to be signed into your Autodesk account to utilize the cloud functionality in AutoCAD. That's the important thing. Now that account has a lot of information in there and you can just go to account.autodesk.com, use your Autodesk ID, and you can go in there and you can update things like your account details. You can manage your Autodesk licenses and check out purchase options and so on. But the whole idea is everything's subscription based now. And that's where all that information is, those account details and so on. Now, access, once you've got signed in AutoCAD, is it gives you access to the AutoCAD web and mobile folders. So you can see those 2 icons there. They're on the quick access toolbar, top left in AutoCAD, and you've got one with a little kind of open symbol and one with a little blue arrow. So obviously the one with the little folder open is an open from your web and mobile folders. The one with the little blue arrow, you're sending things up to the cloud. And the whole idea is that you can save these DWGs up to the cloud straight from your AutoCAD desktop app. So when we're saving these drawings to the cloud, how does it all work? Why does it work? Why have you got it there? Well, the whole idea is that it's always there in the quick access toolbar. And it means that you can use the 2 commands, and they are really long commands to type. So I recommend using the icons, save to web mobile and open from web mobile. Now, the whole idea here is those web and mobile folders are affiliated with your Autodesk ID, your account that you've subscribed with. And you've got a bit of cloud space there, and that's where you can save your drawings to. So you've got the ability now to kind of say, hey, AutoCAD, save this drawing to the cloud so that I can use it later with something like the web app or something like the mobile app. And if you've never used it before in AutoCAD, it will require a little driver install for the first use. Literally takes about 30 seconds. It will just say, oh, you've never used this before. Would you like to install the driver? Just say yes, run the driver, and it's done. Takes literally, I would say, probably longest 1 minute, give or take. Now, the two commands that you've got there, once you've installed that driver, are the save to web mobile. Now that saves the DWG file to the allocated cloud space provided with your Autodesk ID. So that's why you've got to be signed in. That's why you have to be signed in. Now, normally with the later versions of AutoCAD, you will be signed in anyway, because you've got to be to use your subscription. And the whole idea there is once you've saved these files to web and mobile, they're accessible with the web and mobile apps. That's the master plan. And you'll see that as we go through this presentation. Once they're in there, though, you want to be able to open them as well. So you've got open from web mobile, and that allows you to open the DWG file from those web and mobile cloud-based folders. What it also allows for, though, is synchronization with the web and mobile apps. So you could be out on the road using, say, the web app or the mobile app. You'll update a drawing, and then you'll save it. It's then saved to that cloud-based location in the web and mobile folders. When you get back to base, you go into the web and mobile folders in your AutoCAD desktop app, and you can go and check all of those edits you've made, make sure they're correct, and then issue the drawing to the client, the architect, contractor, etc. So as you can see, the icons are there, quick and easy. They're on the quick access toolbar, always there in AutoCAD. And then when you do a save to AutoCAD Web and Mobile, that's the little dialog box that is created after you've installed that little driver. So that little driver allows you to open these two dialog boxes, which are the save and open from AutoCAD Web and Mobile. And you can see I've got various folders in there. You can see I've got some of my AU demo sets in there where I do my class and so on. It would be lovely if I could present those classes live again. So fingers crossed and vaccinations permitting, we might actually see each other again next year, where I can present this at AU again. Now, once we're in AutoCAD, the workflow is incredibly simple. So what I've done is I've opened up the screen a bit here with a nice sort of floor plan there in the full AutoCAD. So that's AutoCAD 2022. And you can see there I've got my 1031 Southeast Madison drawing open. And what I do there is I go to those icons there on the quick access toolbar. Just to orientate yourselves there, it's just top left and you're signed in. So then you just say, right, I want to go to that folder there in my save to web mobile folders, and it's done, it's saved. Now, don't forget as well, though, you might not want to use those web and mobile folders. You don't have to use the ones that are affiliated with AutoCAD. I also use Microsoft OneDrive a lot. I've got I think it's called Office 365 still, but I've got an Office 365 account. And a lot of my general sort of business and work stuff is all stored in the cloud on OneDrive. And don't forget, you can still do that one as well, because there'll be a nice little link in your Windows Explorer to your OneDrive folders, and you can do it that way. The benefit you've got, excuse me, is that the web and mobile apps are also compatible with those other proprietary cloud-based provisions as well. So how do we start up the AutoCAD web app? Well, it's actually incredibly easy. You need a browser, obviously. The recommended browsers normally are Microsoft Edge Chromium Edition. Don't go for one of the really old versions. You want to go for the Edge Chromium Edition, the latest one, and obviously Google Chrome. Now, you'll find that a lot of my graphics in this particular presentation are from Edge. I don't tend to use Google Chrome. I find it a little bit too open. And from a security perspective, I'm running a business. I like Microsoft Edge Chromium because it's very secure. And it's up to you which one you use, but you need to have that Chromium thing going on. That's all to do with the interface in the web app. Now, the lovely thing about this, though, is there's no waiting. You don't have to click on the AutoCAD icon, and wait for a while for AutoCAD to kick in. And then if it's a really big complex drawing, you've got to wait a while again for the big drawing to load up. There's a quick access here because you're going through a browser. There's none of that waiting and waiting and waiting, especially when you're presenting to, say, a client, or you're in that client's office. You can just say, oh, have you got a PC available? You just jump into the browser, make sure it's the right browser, obviously, log in using your Autodesk ID, and you can access your drawings there and then. And the URL is really easy. It's web.autocad.com. And you can see a little screen grab there where you can sign in. You can also create a free account to get into AutoCAD Web as well if you want to. Obviously, it comes with your subscription, but you might be sending drawings to somebody and they want to use the web app to look at those drawings. You can share drawings from the web app, which is really useful. So obviously, from that perspective, someone might need a free account just to view some drawings that you're sending to them. Typical uses of the web app: larger format tablets. I use an iPad Pro, and the web app is lovely on that. I can utilize my Apple Pencil as well, so I can get some really accurate drafting going on. You might be hot desking, you might be in a client meeting. You can jump onto the desktop PC, perhaps in the hot desk area or in the client meeting room. And also, if you want to, you can use larger smartphones as well. I've got an iPhone 12 Pro Max that I'm using. It works quite well on that. But don't forget as well, when you're using mobile devices like the iPad Pro and the iPhone or other proprietary phones and tablets, you can use the mobile app as well. The workflow is very, very similar. So you'll still have to sign in. Obviously, you'll do it through an app rather than through the URL on the screen, but the workflow is pretty much the same. So you've logged in to web.autocad.com. You've used your Autodesk ID to get there, and we can use the web and mobile folders, which are AutoCAD specific. You can see them in the screen grab there. So there's web and mobile right there. And don't forget as well, you can link up to other proprietary cloud-based providers. You can see all the little icons there. There's all different ones. So I'm using OneDrive. You can see that link there on the left. But you can use things like Dropbox, Box. There's also Google Drive. There's things like Autodesk Docs and BIM 360 Docs as well. All of those can be connected. And you just go to that Add Storage Provider box and it adds them to the list on the left. So right now, you can see that obviously AutoCAD Web and Mobile is current with the slightly grey bar over the AutoCAD Web and Mobile text there. And you can see my list of folders. That's exactly the same list of folders that we saw in the desktop app earlier in previous slides. And you can see, surprise, surprise, I do have a community conversations going mobile with AutoCAD folder in there, like so. And what I've done, I've just put some sample drawings in there so that I can generate the graphics for this presentation. Now, when you start up the AutoCAD web app, obviously, I haven't bored you by showing how I log in or anything like that, but we're in those AutoCAD web and mobile folders. Now, the lovely thing about the file management in the web app, you can upload drawings, you can set up a new folder, you can even say, hey, I want a new drawing. So I've gone into my community conversations subfolder in the web and mobile folders, and there's my drawing. And this is what I love about the web and mobile apps. The core AutoCAD technology is there, but more importantly, the core visualization tools are there as well. You can see that that's a DWG because it's using the blue and yellow DWG icon. More to the point, it's got a file suffix that says DWG as well, which always helps. But the idea is that you go to this and it's there. You can see it's an AutoCAD drawing. You click on the DWG link, just like you would in any browser, to get to the next point. So we're in the web and mobile folders. I'm in my community conversations subfolder, and I just click on the drawing, and that will open up the drawing in the web app. So there's the web app. So what I've done there, whole screen, like so, and you can orientate yourselves and you can see kind of what's going on there. Now, the one caveat I will put here, based on the safe harbor statement earlier, is I'm running a beta version of the web app. I'm a beta tester for Autodesk. So the safe harbor statement, there may be features and things in here that aren't available just yet, but the lovely thing about a web app is Autodesk can roll out those new features at any time. And the next time you log in, it will be like, oh, wow, they've brought that in. Or it happens to me all the time. I'll jump into the web app and it's like, that's new. And it's great. I love that Autodesk do that. And the fact that it's web-based, you don't have to worry about installing hot fixes, patches, updates. It just updates itself all the time, which is lovely. And the mobile app is exactly the same in that way. So looking at the screen, the interface is core AutoCAD technology. So if we look down here, we've got things like draw, annotate, modify. They are the same tabs as you have on the panels on the ribbon in the desktop app. And talking of tabs, we've got model and layout tabs in exactly the same location as the desktop app. Do you think the Autodesk guys thought about this and thought if we put them in the same place, they might actually realize they're there? So that's the whole idea of this, is it's using that core AutoCAD technology. And the navigation is the same as it ever was. You've got tools there to zoom and zoom window. You've got your cursor there as well. The mouse controls are the same. Obviously, if you hold down the wheel and move around, it pans. If you roll up and down on the wheel, it zooms in and out. So the navigation hasn't changed. The core AutoCAD sort of method of interface is still there and it hasn't changed. Obviously, it's a slightly different layout, but that's because it's AutoCAD in a browser. So let's think about that web app interface now. Now, the web app interface is incredibly useful. And what it does is it allows you to work in a quick and easy way with all of those lovely AutoCAD commands that you're used to. Now, the only thing I will say here, and it's a caveat, I suppose, but it's a development caveat. Obviously, you haven't got the full AutoCAD when you're in the web app. It's the same as the mobile app as well. And obviously, the interface has subtle differences. If you're using like an iPad, for example, with the mobile app, there's going to be subtle differences to, say, an Android interface as well. Things like the finger gestures when you zoom in and out on an iPad would be different to, say, an Android tablet, for example. But the commands are slowly building up. And whilst it is a cut down version of AutoCAD, it's AutoCAD. And you can take it anywhere you want it to be. That's the whole idea. That's the whole essence of this presentation. You're going mobile with your AutoCAD designs, with your DWG files. Now, the Draw tab, I've given you the little list there of the commands that are currently available. So we've got all the regular stuff: rectangle, circle, arc, spline. X-line, for those of you that don't know, is a construction line. You've got the line command. P-line is polyline. Hatch, array, divide, ellipse, and polygon. So you can do pretty much all of the core drafting that you need to do in AutoCAD in a browser. And the good thing is the mobile app allows you to do very, very similar things. Again, I stress there are subtle differences, but the good thing is you've got those DWGs with you wherever you go. So there's the Draw tab, and there's your commands. It's that easy. Bottom left corner of the AutoCAD Web App interface. And you can see there where I've zoomed in as well. One of the things I love about the web app and the mobile app is the visual fidelity. You can see there where I've zoomed into the drawing, it looks just like your AutoCAD desktop. And if you zoom in close on drawings in the web app and the mobile app, you'll see that the visual clarity is, I mean, I know I'm a bit of an Apple fan. I love my Apple stuff, but the visual clarity on Apple devices is out of this world. And I'm pretty sure if you're using something like a Microsoft Surface as well, they're pretty good on the visual integrity side of things as well. But what I love is it's core AutoCAD technology. It's core AutoCAD WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So Annotate tab, moving along, next tab along, bottom left part of the screen. And again, you've got the commands there like so. Now you'll notice there's not many Annotate commands. Now, obviously that's going to change over time as you go in and out of the web app and the mobile app. Autodesk are going to add more. And one of the things I love about these products is they're being developed all the time. And when I talk to various guys at the beta testing side of things, you kind of say, well, what's next? And they never tell you. It just pops up the next time you log in. But you can see that we've got things like measure, we've got revision cloud in there, which is extremely useful, especially when you're marking up a drawing while you're out on site or on the factory floor. One of the lovely things that I find as well is dimensioning is great as well. Again, you've got object snaps in the web app, in the mobile app. So you know that you're snapping accurately and exactly to the geometry in the drawing. Things like mText, multi-line text, and the multi-leaders are available as well. And again, you're just working with that core AutoCAD technology in a drawing that's in the cloud in a browser. how things have moved along from when I used to use house bricks to hold paper drawings down onto the bonnet of my car when I was out on site, probably when it was snowing or raining too, just for fun. So the technology now, I can just turn up on site with my iPad, Apple Pencil, and I can make my little edits as I go. I don't have to think about paper at all. There's none of those. Do everybody remember those tubes that we used to have? Big old plastic tubes with the shoulder strap? And you used to wander on site, and they used to weigh a ton because you had about 50 drawings in there. Yeah, we don't have to do that anymore. That's what this is all about. You take those drawings with you, but they're in the cloud. You open them up on your mobile device later. So modify tab, we've got a lot more commands. So I had to shrink the text on the slide a little bit to get them to all fit. But obviously modify, again, there's another tab there. And I would imagine over time, again, it's a beta version that I'm running, but there will be more tabs there, more commands as the product matures. But you've got all your regular modification type stuff going on. You've got move, stretch, mirror, fillet, chamfer. I won't bore you by reading the list. One of the ones that I know is quite new though, which I'm really pleased about, is break at point, which is that one sort of right down at the bottom row, second one in from the left. Break at point is a command that I use a lot, especially on floor plans, because I might want to break a wall and put a doorway in or a window opening in or something along those lines. And break at point for me, when I saw that, I thought, yes, excellent. The other one, the sort of polar opposite of break at point, obviously, is join. If I need to join two collinear lines together to form a wall, I can as well. So it really does work well. And again, one thing I'll stress here, do you recognize those icons? That's the important bit, because what Autodesk have done, which I think is great, is the icons in the web app and the mobile app are exactly the same as the icons you see in the ribbon panels on the desktop app. And again, you've got that lovely kind of legacy kind of visualization thing going on where you go, oh yeah, that icon is explode, or that icon is stretch or scale or whatever. So from a modification viewpoint, very, very quick and easy as well. You can jump in, you can trim, you can extend. So you've got all that core AutoCAD technology there. And I know I sound like I'm waxing lyrical about this stuff. I love this stuff. This is kind of the technology for me when I think back sort of 20, 30 years ago, when I first started using AutoCAD. I wish I had it back then. Wow, I would have blown my bosses away with my productivity back then. And I can still remember to this day, my principal engineer came and sat, I was 18 years old. So you can imagine fairly, you know, green behind the ears and everything. And I sat down at my AutoCAD station after doing my 3-day AutoCAD Essentials course. My principal engineer, the man at the top of the tree in my department, came and sat next to me without announcing he was going to sit next to me. So I'm immediately like, uh-oh, what have I done? And he sat there and watched me for about 15 minutes using AutoCAD. And to this day, his exact words resonate with me. And his exact words were, I thought you just pressed enter and a drawing appeared on the screen. And for me, from a training perspective, that was probably my initial little foundation brick of all of my training expertise now. And I sat there and for half an hour, I showed him how the benefits of AutoCAD outweighed the drawing board. Things like copy, move, rotate, scale. And he was absolutely kind of blown away by this. And his immediate words after that were, well, it was obviously money well spent then. And the following week, I got an invite to train the rest of the guys on the drawing board on how to use AutoCAD. And my career path started. I became a CAD manager, worked in consultancy, and hey, here I am now. But the whole idea of this technology is it's there to make your life easier, to make you more productive, to obviously, at the end of the day, be more profitable. The bottom line, especially right now, is really, really important. But if you can work smarter, get things right first time, you're going to save money. And with everything going on in the world financially right now, we've had the pandemic, we've had all the wonderful stuff, you know, kind of kick in over the last couple of years. If you can find things that allow you to work smarter, they're going to help you. So the last thing I want to talk about, which is quite a new feature in the web app, and again, this is the same in the mobile app as well, is the blocks tab. Now, when I gave you that sort of full screen web app shot back in one of the previous slides, you could see that we had also some little tabs on the left-hand side of the screen. So if you imagine now, we're in the web app, top left corner, as if we were going to the application menu in the desktop app. So you've still got the nice little big red A, top left corner, to say, hey, I'm AutoCAD. Just ignore the beta bit, okay? I'm a beta tester, as I explained earlier. But the lovely thing is I can jump into any of these tabs as well on the left-hand side. So prop is properties. You've got your layers, you've got blocks, which is what I'm going to talk about in a moment. You can also look at XREFs that are attached to the drawings. Traces I will cover later on in the series. In fact, I think it might be the next one, part 3. And surprise, surprise, we've actually got support for Lisp in the web app. How cool is that? So that means I can run Lisp routines when I'm in a browser running AutoCAD in the cloud. It's kind of cool when you think about it. So I want to jump back to that blocks tab though. The blocks tab is really important. And if you've used the blocks palette in the desktop app, you'll recognize that kind of interface there. So you click on blocks on the tab there. And over here, you've got some little buttons at the top. They are current, as in the blocks in the current drawing. You've got recent, which is the little sort of tick-tock clock. You've got favorites, which is the star, and you've got libraries. So what you can do is you can actually set up block libraries in the cloud to talk to your drawings in the cloud through the web app. Now, if you think about that for a moment, it means that those block libraries are also going to be mobile because they're in the cloud. And it doesn't matter whether they're in the cloud in the web app. You can do this in the desktop app. You can do it with the mobile app as well. And what it means is those blocks are accessible at all times. Now, you can see there's various blocks there. Those are the blocks in the current drawing that you can see in that particular screenshot. So we've got things like bathrooms, cabinets, and so on. If I'd scroll down in the web app itself, you would actually see that those blocks all show up that are all available in that drawing. But you'll also notice that you can create a block from scratch in the web app as well. You can also do that in the mobile app. And you've also got there browse for blocks. So you can go and browse for a block that might not be in the current drawing. It might not even be in your block library. It might be in a separate drawing elsewhere that is in the cloud. So when I browse for a block there, I can go back to the cloud or back to, say, my OneDrive account where there's a cloud library, and I can go and find those blocks and bring them into my drawing in the web app as well. Now, that kind of covers, dare I say it, the death by PowerPoint bit. Okay, what I want to do is just give you this quick quote. This is a quote that I used in my AU class this year. And I won't read it to you, but if you want to read that and think about what it actually means to you from a commercial perspective, the mobile technology is moving incredibly fast. I mean, okay, I'll put my hands up. I'm 52 years old, okay? And there are days when I sit and look at the technology and I think, wow, this is really going faster than I expected. But when you combine that with the web app and the mobile app and all that core AutoCAD technology, you've got an entire set of technologies and apps and software there that give you totally seamless workflows. So if you can build those into your company standards, your company processes, especially when you're collaborating with your CAD team internally, but if you think about it, you can now collaborate with stakeholders, clients, everything, because they can use a free license of the web app and check out a drawing. You can even share drawings from the desktop app, from the web app, and from the mobile app. It sends a link to the recipient. When they click on that link, it automatically goes to web.autocad.com, but opens up the drawing. So all of those AutoCAD apps give you, as a designer, that incredible amount of flexibility. And you can now not just make anything, like Autodesk used to say about 2 or 3 AUs ago, you can now make anything absolutely anywhere if you want to. Now, just before we jump onto a little bit of Q&A and things, what I want to do, I'm just going to stop the share there for a moment. I will jump back to the PowerPoint in a moment. But what I'd like to do is share a different screen with you, because I do actually have the web app open at the moment. I've just got to find it on the appropriate screens here. Let me just check. There we go. So it's going to be that one. If I jump to the appropriate tab, can we all see the AutoCAD web app? Getting some nods there. Excellent. That's great. So I just want to give you a quick sort of 5-10 minute overview here of how the workflow actually works. So at this particular point in time, we're in the AutoCAD Web App. If you look up at the browser there, it's web.autocad.com, and then you've got ACAD Me. Me indicates that I'm signed in, obviously. So I'm going to go to my AutoCAD Web and Mobile folders. I've also got OneDrive. There's my OneDrive stuff there as well, and you can see it takes a few seconds there, courtesy of the bandwidth of my internet at this end. But you can see I've got loads of different folders there as well, all different things going on. But I'm going to use the Web and Mobile folders purely because I've got a community conversations folder there. And it's just like I'm surfing on the internet in a browser. So I click on that link, takes a few seconds, and I'm lucky here, I've got fast internet here. Obviously, it could be a little bit slower if I'm out in the middle of nowhere using a mobile phone signal, for example. Click on the link for the drawing, and it initializes AutoCAD. So you can see there, it's obviously jumping into the cloud now, finding my drawing. It takes a few seconds. Of course it does. It's opening up a drawing, and there's detail in that drawing that takes a little while to process, even in the desktop app if you're running a fast machine. So you can see there now, I've got the drawing. There it is. There's my plan, and I can pan. And I'm going to do this real slow because I know when I do things like this on Zoom, it can be a bit grainy. But you can see I'm panning there just by holding down the wheel on the mouse. And then if I roll up on the wheel, I can zoom in and then pan down to, say, one of those groups of workstations there, like so. Now, I'm in a drawing. That's great. There's all my layers there. So if I go and select something, say I select that block there, there's a workstation there like so, and a chair and so on. So I've selected a chair. You can see in the properties now, it's telling me what layer it's on. It's telling me the name of the block I've selected, the scale, the rotation, and so on. If I hit escape a couple of times, surprise, surprise, that deselects as well. So I'm running AutoCAD as if I was running the desktop app right now. It's that quick and easy. Layers, I can turn layers on and off. There's all my layers there. So you can see anything that's turned off has a little light bulb with a line through it. There's all the colors of my layers. The current drafting layer is the one highlighted with the little sort of grayish blue bar. You'll notice as well, I can lock layers. So I can lock that layer as well. If I want to, a little padlock appears, click on the lock again, it unlocks it again, just like it does in the layer properties manager in the desktop app. As I mentioned, you've got XREF support. There aren't any XREFs in this particular drawing. Traces we will cover in the next part. They're very cool and exciting, and there's a lot more development going on around those as well on the beta testing side, which I won't mention now because it's all part of coming up to the new version and so on. We've got a new version due out in March, and we're beta testing all the time at the moment on new features that are going to become available. And I can't quote you on which ones will become available as per the safe harbor statement. And we've also got the support there for running Lisp files. I can upload a Lisp file if I want to and run a routine. Now, I wanted to mention the blocks. That was the one I wanted to really show you. I think this is really, really clever stuff. Putting all my blocks into the cloud is extremely useful. But more importantly, I've got blocks in this drawing, and I can just use the slider bar and come all the way down. As you can see, there's quite a few blocks in this drawing. It takes a few seconds for them to update and upload, though, because obviously this is all in the cloud. And it's the first time I've opened the drawing, so it takes a few seconds. And then as I come down, different rectangles and all different, there you go, there's some sync vanity units there, for example. Let that refresh a little while. There we go. You can see the doors, the flush doors. And then we've got things like the little vanity units in the restrooms. There's some chairs and so on. So the technology is incredibly useful by way of that visual capacity where it's very much the same as your regular AutoCAD. Now, just at the top here, we've got the usual undo, redo. You'll notice I've got top there. That's the preset views in AutoCAD, top, bottom, left, right, etc. We've also got here, we've got zoom extents. So if I click there, that'll zoom to the extents of the visible drawn objects. I've also got a zoom window, so I can jump in and zoom to an area. So if I click there like so, there we go. And it's asking to specify the corner there. And all I've got to do is drag across and zoom in. So if I click, there we go. And see, you can see the command line, specify first corner, click there, drag my window, click again. Now it's a little bit grainy. Obviously I'm running Zoom and running my internet at the same time. So speed wise, it's a little bit jumpy, but you can see how this technology is working. And this drawing is not on my machine. It's in the cloud. I'm working on this drawing in the cloud. I've also got my layer drop down, just like I have in the desktop app. I can go and pick a layer. The one that's ticked is obviously the current drafting layer. Now, one of the bits I did want to mention very briefly, because we will cover this in probably the end of part 3, part 4 of the series, is you can open the file in the desktop if you wish, and there's the share option that I mentioned. So when you want to share this drawing, you just click on that, and what will happen is it will bring up share a link to this drawing. And you can send a view only link or an edit and save link. And if you have a look at the link here, can you see you've got web.autocad.com, and then you've got ACAD.me, and then you've got shares, drawings, and a big long sort of link name there. That's linking to this particular drawing with this particular view. So I can preview that, I can copy that link, I can drop that link into an email and email somebody and say, hey, click on this link, open up AutoCAD Web App, and you can either view the drawing or you can edit and save a new version of that drawing. So the technology is really rather clever. And don't forget as well, I've got this drawing in my web and mobile folders. I can either save it or I can do a save as. So if I do a save as like so, that'll then open up a dialog box here, which looks a bit familiar. So you can see AutoCAD Web and Mobile, Community Conversations. So what I could do there is then pop a new drawing in. Let's say it's revision 02, hit save. That'll save it. It's now a separate drawing in my web and mobile folders. Takes a few seconds to update. And just see it's saving there. Now it's saved. Can you see the file name has changed at the top? Just like it does in your regular AutoCAD. So the technology is pretty impressive, as you can see. So what I'll do now is I'll just stop sharing on the web app, and I'll jump back to my PowerPoint presentation, which I'm hoping is there somewhere. Oh, I love Zoom when I can't find the window I need. I'll go with that one. There we go. I know that's my presenter view, but I'm just going to run the PowerPoint presentation first of all. I'm hoping that I can get to the bottom of my PowerPoint for some weird reason. Let me just. That's really annoying. My Windows taskbar won't let me jump into this for some reason.
Old technology. Always.
It's yeah, there we go. Resume slideshow. That's the one I wanted. Thank you. Can we see thank you for listening now?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. That's good. I love that. I love it when a plan comes together. That's always good.
And we do have a question for you as well, Shaun.
Stunning. That's exactly what I'm after now. I'm after some questions. So I'd obviously like to say thank you for listening. That's great. And obviously, please stay connected. And we'll jump into, obviously, the Autodesk community in a moment. But what I'd like to do now, obviously, as Shaun quite rightly said, if we've got any questions, please jump in now and we'll go from there.
Just let me go through this slide here. You can explore the many ways to connect to the Autodesk community, including global network of user groups, the Autodesk Group Network, industry-focused communities, helping your colleagues solve business challenges together, the Autodesk forums, of course, and staying connected with us on Twitter and the hubs and all those great places. Shaun, let's get that question out of the way before we close it up. And there will be a survey, so nobody leave. That helps us inform how we evolve the program. The question is there a way to change the annotative scale? The line type seems small. Some people may want to increase the scale of the line type so the hidden line doesn't look continuous. And that was from SU.
Simple answer, yes, you can. When you're in the web app and the mobile app, you've got the ability to go into the properties part of the application. So regardless of which one you're in, web app or mobile app, you can change the LT scale, and you can obviously change the annotation scales as well. The one thing I would suggest with all of that, though, and this is from experience as well, I've often been, well, especially at AU, when we do a live AU, you've got the big screen and you can throw the drawing up on the screen, and you'll always get that kind of, oh, but the LT scale doesn't look quite right. And hey, it probably isn't quite right, especially on a screen that big. So it does look slightly different. But one of the things I would suggest, if you're working in the web app or the mobile app and you're going to start changing things like that, like LT scale and so on, be careful, because you might have standard LT scales already applied based on the CAD standard you're using on the drawing that is in your AutoCAD desktop app. So if you change it in something like the web app or the mobile app and you save it, when it opens again in the desktop app, the LT scale might not look right in the desktop app, for example. So from that perspective, the answer is yes, you can change it, but just be careful when you do.
That is awesome. We got another one from Tom Richardson.
Oh no, not Tom, not Tom.
Oh,
It
yes,
could be
Tom.
challenging.
Are custom line types or fonts available within the Autodesk web app or mobile?
When it comes to fonts, no. What it does is it's really clever how it works, actually, and it can be a little bit daunting initially as well, because what happens is all your sort of standard fonts in your desktop app get converted to simplex. So what you'll find is if you put some new text in a web app drawing, it will put it in as simplex, and that's purely because you're running it in a browser. And if you had all those different fonts, if you know how websites are created with cascading style sheets and things, CSS files and so on, you'll understand what a nightmare that would be if you had like 15, 16 fonts in that drawing. The browser would struggle, basically. And the whole idea is that Autodesk have kind of said, right, well, let's make everything simplex in the web app, everything simplex in the mobile app. And then when you go back to the desktop app and you open it from the web and mobile folders, you can then update accordingly if you need to. Now, saying that, however, you have obviously got the ability now to put Lisp routines into the web app. So you could potentially, if you wanted to, create some sort of Lisp routine to overcome that caveat if you needed to.
That's awesome. Thank you, Shaun. We got another one. This is now he's getting tricky. How are proxy objects such as Civil 3D objects handled in the AutoCAD web and mobile?
Right. Okay. Now this is something that I got asked this actually at my AU class as well. We had the lovely Melanie Stone moderating, which was great. Melanie's a great foil for me when I'm trying to answer questions as well. But yeah, basically, what you've got to remember here is you're working with regular AutoCAD. You're talking the good old vanilla flavored AutoCAD that hasn't got any extra flavors added to it. Now, obviously, I work with a lot of the tool sets as well. So things like mechanical, electrical, architecture, and so on. And what you'll find is that the web app and the mobile app are simple tools that allow you to manage what I call your regular AutoCAD objects. Now, obviously, something like Civil 3D, something like architecture, especially with MV blocks, things like that, you're going to find that there's going to be a representation of them in the drawing in the web app or the mobile app, but it's not going to have that intelligence associated with it from that particular tool set. So for example, Civil 3D objects, yeah, you'll probably get some very simple representation of it. It might even just possibly be a little rectangular box. It does depend on what you've created in that particular tool set. So bear in mind that you're not going to have a flavor of the web app or the mobile app. You might in the future, I don't know. Hey, I don't know what Autodesk are doing in the, R&D side of things. But a lot of the time, I mean, one of the ones that I use a lot is AutoCAD Electrical, and AutoCAD Electrical uses a lot of semi-intelligent blocks with attributes. Now, obviously, if I create, let's say, an electrical component on a schematic and I open it in the web app, I will get a visual representation of that, but it pretty much will be just in essence a very dumb block. I won't be able to go in and edit it, for example. I would need to possibly make some notes against it in the web app, save it to the cloud, open it back up in AutoCAD Electrical once I'm back at my desk using the desktop software.
Excellent. Yeah, most proxy objects have a basic level graphic display mode.
Yeah.
But like you said, the intelligence and the magical fairy dust stuff just doesn't come along into a web browser where you're not using the native app. Got another one here. Will mobile app able to handle other file formats like point cloud link, coordination model, Rhino, PSD, DGN, or other file?
I will say at the moment, not yet. I don't know on that one. And I could probably go and ask the beta guys and they would probably turn around and say, no, we don't know either. But, eventually, I mean, from an ideal world perspective, wouldn't it be fantastic if we had a tool that did all of that? I'm beginning to see, especially in the sort of like, you know, the mobility and industrialized construction, convergence, all that kind of stuff, we're beginning to see a movement towards that. We're beginning to see that there's lots of different viewers and things out there, you know, products like Enscape, for example. But don't forget, if you want to view any file type, I think it is only Autodesk file types. I'd have to check, but you've got the Autodesk viewer as well, which is literally just viewer.autodesk.com. And again, it's browser based, and you can sign in using your Autodesk ID. And the lovely thing about that, again, is you can just say, oh, I want to share a file, and you do that using your shared views out of your AutoCAD desktop app. So you create a shared view, it creates a link, that link will open up the Autodesk viewer. And the Autodesk viewer will open anything, DWGs, Revit files, Inventor files, Fusion, the works.
It'll open non-Autodesk as well. There's about 56 formats in there.
Yeah, there's loads, isn't there, if I remember rightly.
So here's the beauty. It comes off the Forge platform, and you get that viewer and the translation built in. So maybe there's a time where that same abstraction level of formats just comes into the web client or the mobile app, because Forge has that ability. And so if everybody puts their file formats within Forge that it understand it, there we go. So
yeah, have to have a chat with Keen Wormsley about that one. I think get him on one of the community conversations. Let's ask him that question.
Yeah. And we got another one from Tom. Can it handle XREFs? Will they be uploaded, sent to the cloud, shared location with the drawing?
If I remember rightly, the best way to work with XREFs, both in the web app and the mobile app, is to use a relative file path. So if your host drawing and your XREF are in the same folder, that's the best way to go. So if you replicate that in your folders, in your web and mobile folders, in your OneDrive, that's what I do all the time. So if I've got a folder with project drawings in it in OneDrive, my host drawing and my XREFs are always in the same folder. And that means I can just use the relative path route to XREFs. But that's what I do, and that works in the web app and the mobile app. I haven't tried full path or no path, because I'm a big believer in relative paths. I've done that for years since I was a CAD manager. So
absolutely. Yeah. And if you open
test it out, Tom, let me know, email me.
Yeah, if you opened it up and it was hard mapped to your end drive in your network, it's not going to be able to get that XREF.
It's not going to find it.
Yeah, but if you have it in the folder or relative to something that it can get to, then it will do that. We've got one more. We use Bluebeam a lot. Will Autodesk push this to be able to collaborate with multiple users so they can do markup and add comments?
Okay, right. Okay, so if you come along to part 3 of this particular series, I'm going to be talking about the traces functionality. Traces came in with AutoCAD 2022. And I don't know if any of you have used the DWF file format and Autodesk Design Review, where you can basically print out to a DWF file, open it up in Design Review, redline and mark it up, and the DWF can then be viewed back in the AutoCAD desktop app again. Now, that's one way of doing it, and it's, I don't want to say old-fashioned, because a lot of people still go down that route, and I still do. I still incorporate that in a lot of my training courses and things that I run. But we've now got this new traces functionality, which is pretty amazing stuff, actually. It's really clever. So I can be in the web app and I can hit the traces button and like say, I want a new trace. And the lovely thing about the trace functionality is I can draw everything. So it's not like redline and markup like it is in Autodesk Design Review. I can draw my rev clouds. I can add multi-line text to make my notes. I can add my little blocks that are my revision numbers. All of that can be brought in as a trace. And it kind of puts a layer over the DWG file. And you can switch it off and on at any time. So once you've created your trace and named it, you can then just hit the little tick in the web app and it'll disappear again. But the lovely thing is once you've saved that drawing with that trace using the web app or the mobile app, when you open it up in the desktop app, surprise, surprise, on the Collaborate tab, you've now got a Traces Manager, which is a palette, and it will just list all the traces in the drawing. You click on the trace, it will highlight the trace in the desktop app as well. And what I love about that is it's all AutoCAD geometry. In the DWF format with design review, it's all based in the DWF file. It's all locked into the DWF. The traces aren't. They're all just AutoCAD geometry, the revision cloud, text, leaders, etc., blocks. You can put all of that in a trace, and then when you click away from the trace, it hides it again, and you've just got the regular drawing there. And again, I will cover a lot of that in part 3 because I want to talk about the traces functionality. And then in part 4 of the series, we'll be talking about how we sync it all back to the desktop app once we're back in the office and we start updating all of the changes we've made.
That is awesome. Anything else, Shaun? If not, we can make sure everybody's done their survey link that Tiana has posted.
I'm good, unless there's any more questions.
No.
Okay,
Maybe
there you
see
go.
that
I've jumped to the next slide.
Yes, yes. Thank you for attending the community conversation. We hope you come back for part 3 and 4. Thank you, Shaun. This has been amazing. I've learned some things in this, and I
You're more
enjoy
than
always attending. I can't wait till we're in the same place together and I can give you a hug. And
that would be nice. A hug and
yeah.
a beer would go down a tree, wouldn't it, right now?
Yeah, yeah. So everybody continue to stay connected in the Autodesk community, and we hope to see you next time. We're going to send out some announcements, try and get these so we get more people out there. I apparently missed out sending out the November update, so I apologize for that. So that will be corrected immediately. So thanks again, Shaun. It's good to see you.
No worries at all. Hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you, Tiana, Chris, everybody, Emilio, Tom.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah, I'm glad my puppy didn't act up. So this is all good. All right. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot. See you soon.